Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Millie, and on this channel I talk about yarn. I talk about knitting and crochet. I share my works in progress, my finished objects, yarn hauls, and I have a few knitting tutorials. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. And if you're new here and this is your first time, welcome. Today I want to share with you some of the projects that I have been working on for the last few weeks. And I have a little bit of everything. I have some crochet and some knitting. And I'm gonna start with the washcloths that I've been making. So every time I finish a big project, I always end up in a space where I'm trying to figure out what to knit or crochet next. And so usually if I find myself kind of trying to figure out what to work on, I usually just grab a washcloth. And also sometimes when I don't want to think too much and I just want to grab something easy, I typically work on washcloths, and I do the corner to corner washcloth. And I have a video tutorial of how I do this, and I'm gonna leave a link down below if you're interested. And so I worked on quite a number of washcloths. And like I said, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but this year I'm really trying to use up yarn that's already in my stash. So I'm doing a lot of stash busting projects, and these are some of those. For example, these, I had a little bit of this peach color, and then I had a little bit of this left over from various past projects. And so I decided to combine them because this peach pulls or combines with the peach that's up here in this section. And so I have managed to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this red is from yarn that I frogged from a project that I had worked on a long time ago, and I didn't like it. And sometimes I find that projects that I worked on a long time ago don't appeal to me anymore, especially if they are wearables, or sometimes they don't fit as well. And I'm going back and frogging those and reusing the yarn. And so this is one of those projects. And then I have these, I think I knitted these when I was feeling like spring colors. And so it has the blues, the yellows, and the whites. And this is also something that was in my stash, and I've already shown you that. And I have a lot of this yarn. I think I'm running out, but I love this color so much. So I have a bunch of washcloths in this color. And this is my bag of 100% cotton yarn. It's just a mix of everything. And so whenever I feel like I need to knit a washcloth, I just grab this bag and pick a color that appeals to me. And mostly I use a size 8 knitting needle, but I think on some of them I might have used a 7 because it depends on what I can find sometimes. And for the washcloths, gauge is not really important. So I either use a US size 8 or a US size 7. And I think for some of these, that's what I did. So I have a bunch of these, and they're going to end up being gifts for some of my family and friends. And so I'll keep adding, and I want to see how many I'm going to have by the end of the year. So it's a pretty good pile. And for right now, I'm just knitting them. I'm not crocheting them. So that's the first finished pile of finished objects that I wanted to share with you. And these are all made out of 100% cotton. So, and then the next thing that I want to share with you is my finished granny square blanket. And I call it the retro granny square blanket, and I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it on the screen, but I'm going to leave, I have a good picture that I took, and I'm going to leave it over here. Maybe I'll put it in a separate slide so that you can really see how beautiful this is. But this is what it looks like. And so this year I'm trying to challenge myself and learn new crochet stitches. And I saw this retro granny square and I really liked it. And so I decided to try it, and I decided to use it in a blanket. And so but for this blanket, I really wanted to use up all the green that I had. And last year I had crocheted a blanket that was green, but it had a lot of green because the person that I was making it for really likes green. And so I had a lot of these left over in my stash. And so I decided to use it up. And I think I saw this blanket, a picture of this blanket on my Instagram feed, but the blanket that I saw was pink. But I wanted mine to be green because I started it in March and my goal was to finish it in March, but I actually was able to finish it, but I wasn't able to record in order to share with you. And so that is what it looks like. It's pretty big. And then on the border, I added a bubble stitch border, which is my favorite. And what I did was, once I was done with all the granny squares, I did a round of single crochet, and then I did another round of double crochet, and then I did a third round of single crochet with a bubble stitch here. So it looks really nice, and I love it. But I don't know who I made these for. It's just gonna go to my pile of finished objects, and maybe I'll give it to someone towards the end of the year. But I don't know, because this year I'm kind of making things just for myself or just for the fun of it. I'm not really making for a specific person right now, even though I have plans to make a top for my grandbaby and maybe a blanket for my daughter, but I don't know. This particular one was me trying to learn how to do this retro granny square, and I think I'm going to incorporate this into other projects. I have seen blankets where someone used or made a crochet blanket using these only. But the thing with this retro granny square is it's a little bit heavy. So if you make a blanket with this only, be prepared for the blanket to be a little bit heavier. But if you use DK weight yarn, then that will make it a little bit lighter. But this one is crocheted using all worsted weight. So most of this yarn is from Hobby Lobby, because the blanket I was working on came from, the yarn I used was from Hobby Lobby. And I have a few of the labels. So this dark green is Crafter's Secret, and this is what the label looks like. And the color, I found the color really interesting. The color is called I Am Jealous. So the green color, that's what it's called. So, and this is a basic yarn from Hobby Lobby, and I like it. It's thick and squishy, but it's a 4-weight, and usually it's a big ball of yarn with 810 yards, but I don't know how much I used because these were just leftovers from a previous project. So for the crochet hook, I used a 5.5 millimeters for the body, But then for the border, I used a 6mm hook, because on a previous project, I discovered that if I continue using the same crochet hook, my blanket doesn't look really good on the border. And so I think I saw somewhere someone was talking about changing the crochet hook size and going a size larger for the border. And so that's what I did, and it worked perfectly. So this is one of the projects that I am really proud of this year. And I discovered that I like granny squares, but I don't really like weaving in the ends. I don't know if I took a picture of all the ends that I had to weave in, but I'm telling you, it was a lot, especially for this part, because you have you have 3 colors, but you had to keep changing every row. And so there were so many tails. And then for this one, there were not so many tails because it's a solid granny square. But I think I've learned a lesson with this blanket. I'm going to be weaving in my ends as soon as I'm done with a granny square to save myself time at the end of the project. But also, when I'm joining, I use a needle to join all my granny squares. So I don't crochet them together. I prefer sewing them together with a darning needle. So if I've left anything out, I'll leave details in the description down below, especially the number of granny squares. I think I have it written somewhere, but I can't think of off the top of my head. I can't remember how many squares these are, but it's a good size and it covers me nicely. And so if I end up gifting it to someone, they're really going to enjoy it. So that is one of the other finished objects that I have. And the next whip that I want to share with you is my toe-up socks. So I've been working on a pair of socks for a while, and I'm hoping to finish them this week if all goes well. And like I mentioned before, I'm doing a lot of starch busting projects this year because I'm trying to use up some of my yarn. And this yarn is from my stash, and it was a gift from a friend of mine who was, I guess she was reorganizing her knitting closet, and she had all this yarn and all these knitting needles, and she gifted them to me. And I kept it just in my stash, and then when I was looking for some yarn to make socks, I wasn't really finding something that worked until I grabbed the bag and I found this yarn. So this is what she gifted me, and I can tell that it had been in her stash too for a long time. And so she gifted me six balls of yarn. And so these, I don't know if these are all the same. Sometimes it's hard to tell with variegated yarn, but some of it looks like it has more yellow. But anyway, there were 6 balls of yarn, 4 socks. And so these are the 4, and then these 2. And these were just regular 50 grams balls. And I decided to use the pink one because I loved the color combination so much, and it just was calling to me. So this is how far I am with the socks. So I decided to, what the plan that I came up with was, I cast on, I usually do my socks toe up. So I did one sock up to here, the heel, and then I put it down and I cast on the other one, and then I finished. I went up to where I ran out of yarn, because this yarn is not enough to make the length of socks that I like. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my stash and find something to do the calves. And the reason why I worked them that way was because to me, this is the most involving part of the sock. But if I'm sitting down and concentrating, I can probably finish the heel and the gusset, just within a short time. And then after you're done with that part, the rest of it is mindless knitting. And so that is why I decided to finish up to the heel, and then once I was done with the gusset and the heel, then I decided to pick up the other one and do the same thing. And so this is how much or how far the first ball of yarn goes. And so this one is just waiting for the calf. And then this is the one that I'm actively working on, and I should be done pretty soon. And I don't know what color I'm going to add to the calf, because I have hot pink here, I have some natural color, a little bit of green, but I also don't know what colors are in my stash until I go and take a look. But I think I have a bag of Knit Picks sock yarn that I'm sure I'll find something that works with them. So this yarn is, this particular one is Regio. And I have seen this yarn before, but I've never used it or bought some for myself. And the one ball of this yarn is 50 grams, which is equivalent to 150 meters, but I didn't translate that into yards, so I don't know how many yards those are. And so this specific one is 80% superwash wool and then 20% nylon. But this one, I actually thought they were all the same, but they are not. This is not Regio, but I can really read this name. But let me see if I can find. So this one is 75% superwash and 25% polyamide. So that is these four. And so I'm gonna use them for some socks later on. And the bag came with these. I think these are meant for the heels and the toe. So this came in the bag as well, but all the information is hidden in here, and I didn't want to take the time to unwind them and then wind them again. But I also feel like this is like a lace weight. And so I was reluctant to use it for the heels because this is fingering weight and this is lace weight, and I don't know how strong this is. So I'm just gonna put them back in the bag with the other yarn, and then maybe in the future I'll rewind them so that I can see what they are and see if they are something that I can use for the toes or for the calf. Because the toes and the heels get the most use, and so they need to be strong so that they can withstand the wear and tear. And then for the knitting needles, I'm using US size 0, and I use two 16-inch knitting needles for all my socks. So that is what it is, and I hate using magic loops, so I decided that this is my comfortable method of working socks, and so I stuck with it once I figured out that that is what worked best for me. I also don't like using double points, and so I found my happy place, and that is what I'm sticking with for now. And then for the sock pattern that I use is a Sockmatation toe-up socks, and it's a sock recipe. And if you're interested, I'll leave the details in the description below. But I like the sock pattern because it gives you instructions on how to work different sizes. And so it tells you how many to cast on, how to measure, how to do gauge. And when I was trying to learn how to work socks, I had a very hard time understanding how to work them because of all the different skills that you need to have. Because when you come to the heel, there are increases and then there are decreases. So it took me a while to figure this out, but this sock pattern or sock recipe helped me understand how to work socks. And then you can make socks even for a kid, or you can make socks for whatever size foot using this method. And so that is why I like it, and that is why I am sticking with it. And I think when I bought the pattern, it was like $2, but it might have gone up, but I don't know. But I've been using the same pattern that I bought for $2 for, it's about, maybe I made more than 10 pairs of socks in my lifetime, and most of them have been done using this sock recipe. So that's why I like it, and I'm gonna stick with it. But I'm also challenging myself to try other sock patterns, and that is why I went, I got this book from my library, and this is the Joyful Colorwork sock, and this is by Charlotte Stone, and the socks in here are really, really beautiful, and I'm going to give some of them a try. The only thing I noticed is that most of the socks most of the patterns don't have a gusset. And for me, the socks that really work best for me, or the ones that really fit me the best, are the socks that are knitted using a gusset heel. So that is the only thing. Look at those. But I am interested in at least a few of them that are in here. Like, I don't want to show you the pattern, but let me see if I can cover it. And I'll show you the ones that are my favorite, like these ones. They have like a cupcake at the top, and I love those so much. So probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some of the tables in here to work the motif. And the other sock that I really like in here, and I'm actually planning to make this one. Let me see if I can find it. And this is my favorite. So that's my favorite, and I think I'm gonna give it a try. And I think what I'm gonna do is just use this part, or maybe just challenge myself and do them carved down, because they are done carved down. But I also don't think I'll have the patience to do a whole sock in color work. So I might just use some of the motifs and add them to my socks. But I like the book. I like all the socks that are in here, and it's, even if you're not gonna knit them, it's great inspiration for color combination, motifs. They are all beautiful. So I might challenge myself and make a pair just from this book. And that is all the knitting I have to share with you. And then I discovered a crochet that looks like knitting, and I decided to give it a try. So if you've seen some of my older videos, I've shared that I'm trying to challenge myself to learn new crochet stitches, and I've tried different things, but I've also found that I know more than I thought I did. And so I found this crochet stitch that looks like knitting, and I decided to give it a try. And at a glance, that looks like knitting. I know my gauge is off, but look at that. So I found these, that's the, I don't even know which is the inside and which is the outside. I think they both look the same. And making a vest, this is a vest. I decided to try this stitch and make a vest because the video instruction, there's a video that I'm following on YouTube, and the person that is showing you how to make the vest, how to make, the person that is using this stitch is making a vest. And so that is what I'm trying to do. I don't know if I'm gonna succeed, but I'm giving it my best. But this stitch is a pain. I'm gonna say that from the beginning. You know, like one of those crochet stitches, you just grab your project and you keep going and mindlessly. This is a little bit hard, and you can't go fast, or at least I can't go fast when working this stitch. But I think the end result is worth every pain that I have to go through. Well, not really pain, but I prefer to go fast, fast, fast. And this one, I have to stop, pay attention, and make sure that I am doing it right. But it's also, if I don't pay attention, then I end up with split. The yarn ends up splitting. I don't know if you can see that, but I have a few of these for when I wasn't really paying attention. And for this, I am using bulky weight number 5. And since this is just like a trial for me and testing the stitch, this is acrylic. So I'm using this yarn. Yarn B is soft and sleek. And this was also in my stash. I had bought it to make hearts for the holidays, for gift giving. And I bought a bunch of these yarn because when I'm knitting hearts, I prefer to use a bulky weight number 5. Or I feel like it gives me a better fabric. And so that is why I ended up with a bunch of these. And so I have some of it, and then I wanted it to be like a light color, or I think that was part of it. And the other part of it was, this was the only yarn that I had enough to make a vest, because I think I have 4 balls of these, and this is 1 ball. So I'm hoping that it's going to be enough, but the vest has only the back and then the 2 sides. And so I'm hoping that, and I think this is enough for a side. So 1 ball is going to be enough for a side. So I'm good. I think I'm good. It's going to be enough, and probably I'm not going to use up everything. And for this, I'm using, I don't think that's the crochet hook I'm using. I'm using a size 6 crochet hook, and it's working out perfectly, but it's a work in progress, very slow. I am not sure what to expect, but I'm going to keep working on it, and hopefully I'll have a vest to show you next time in the next video. So leave a comment below and let me know what you're working on. If you're working on a crochet project or if you're knitting. And whatever you're working on, whether you're knitting or crocheting, I hope that you're having a wonderful time. And until next time, happy knitting and happy crocheting.